And I kind of feel that ghost kitchens is a huge topic. And it's a huge topic I would like to come back to. Big props to you, Vas. You've been writing about this and thinking about this because to your credit, I think that this is going to be something that continues to roll forward because of the way that the pandemic has impacted the hospitality industry, because of the way it's impact food and bev, and that even if I'm wrong in thinking that the pandemic is going to last a long time, even if the pandemic ends real soon now, I think ghost kitchens aren't going away because they're an innovation in the food and beverage industry that takes advantage of the internet. And the news example or the news hook that I want to use today to kind of illustrate this is Mr. Beast. And, Mr. Beast is someone who, for Twitch viewers, is probably not new, but for MetaViews viewers probably is new. Mr. Beast is the biggest YouTuber presently. He's arguably the biggest thing in showbiz. I mean, he kind of competes with Charlie D'Amelio as two of the top influencers or two of the top celebrities in the world, I would argue, but as a result of social media. And this is an example of Mr. Beast Burger, which is a burger chain built off ghost kitchens. And it is, as far as I can tell, although there are, this is difficult to verify, but I'm seeing reports that this is now the largest burger chain in America. That Mr. Beast Burger is now moving, i.e. selling more burgers than the incumbents, and is expanding ludicrously. And his fans don't know what ghost kitchens are, and they don't realize that these are ghost kitchens. They just see all the locations for Mr. Beast Burger. He's got them in Canada as well, because I am seeing people in Toronto. It's all just off an app, right? So people are just, followers of this guy, fans of this guy. They use the app. And of course, it's all Virtual Dining Concepts, which is the entity behind it that is partnering with influencers, that is partnering with celebrities to create these new chains, these new brands that are just going wild. And it's blowing my mind. But again, this is an area where you're ahead of me, Vas. You've dug into this stuff. So I'm curious again to kind of hear your thoughts on ghost kitchens in general and kind of where you see them headed and how you think the governments and regulators are going to catch up, because I assume they have to.
They have to. I mean, look, we have existing policy levers for these sorts of things, right? The food handler certification, the kind of ways we ensure that kitchens, be they, a ghost kitchen just means that there actually is a kitchen, but there's actually no kind of in-house dining options. So if we go back to why it's so important to be creative, or why it's so disappointing that we didn't have interim kind of pandemic solutions, ghost kitchens are also, not just for new brands, but for existing restaurants, be they small and independent or slightly larger. When we have closed down, when we're on lockdown and people can't go into the restaurant, maybe we should have said to some people, okay, like, give up your lease for now, but we're going to allow you to continue to exist and continue cooking and delivering. Or we can also explore these alternative models, right? How many ghost kitchens are platform cooperatives or worker owned? Like, how do we carve out these kind of new ownership models and better business kind of commission schemes, right? Like you see the not Uber Eats here in Toronto, or actually, sorry to bring in another Toronto example, there used to be the Toronto Underground Food Market, TUM. They dropped the F from the acronym because it would have been TURF, and that's hard to say, but TUM. And that was honestly like a precursor to ghost kitchens, because, you have people when they're growing restaurants, before they're going to take on the liability of a commercial lease, that are cooking in, larger forms, often in their house, right? Like restaurants, where do they start? How do you get access to the kitchens? So I'm actually kind of optimistic about the potential of ghost kitchens. And again, back to me kind of being pouty about a lack of creativity. We had kind of closed down hotels. Those are huge kitchens, convention centers, huge kitchens, huge capabilities that could have unlocked new possibilities for people that were struggling. And we could have also promoted it, right? Okay, Toronto Convention Center is opening up X amount of kitchen space to these independently owned, restaurants, and here's the code, and the delivery, you pay full delivery, et cetera, et cetera. We could have used that opportunity to reimagine. Instead, we keep pressing pause and kind of refreshing the screen and seeing who's left, and that's not good either.
Well,
So yeah.
I think that's a brilliant idea, and give me an opportunity to riff on it, because imagine if they went even further, right? Imagine if they took the Toronto Convention Center, not the kitchens at the Toronto Convention Center, the entire Toronto Convention Center. And they said, this is an airborne virus, so we're going to upgrade the ventilation system so that we guarantee we're pumping all the old air out and new air in on a set cycle that epidemiologists have approved, and we're creating different sort of shared stations where you can go and get water and do whatever, and shared ovens. So you're still maybe charging a co-op fee, but you're subsidizing it, and you're creating a literal marketplace in which, food suppliers know where to bring their food, right? Equipment suppliers, you could literally create a shared ghost kitchen, which if people wanted to do it on their own, great. You don't need this if you don't want it. But to your point, small businesses and or laid off staff, you were a chef at a restaurant that's closed down. They don't want to hire you now. Why don't you start your own brand? Or you're a server and you've got a lot of followers. You want to become a marketer now and partner with a chef. There's so many ways that could have played out if they had followed the ethic of we're in it together, rather than the we don't know what's going on. Maybe keep your lease, maybe not. Here's some rebates on property taxes, maybe not. Versus just going all in right from the beginning.
Yeah. And look, maybe that's an impossible thing to ask. Maybe we all thought this was gonna be kind of over faster, than it is or will be or could be. I do share your sentiment that it will be longer than we think and hope. But maybe we need to keep using these opportunities to think about, when, how do we reimagine our existing spaces? And who are they for? I mean, we pointed to the lack of libraries and Wi-Fi. What was our interim solution for access? What was our interim solution even for childcare? We actually shut down in the city of Toronto. I mean, everywhere we put the kind of police tape on playgrounds, but then we shut down summer camps. We didn't even do anything innovative outdoors, say an hour a day at a local park. We know where children live, and I don't mean that in a creepy way, but we generally know where children are in cities. We know where parks are. You're telling me we couldn't pay camp counselors and just say, give your kid a mask. We're gonna run. We're gonna play tag. Here are the options. Here are the age groups, and just give parents a couple of hours in the daytime without kids at home struggling to learn online. We didn't do any of that. We didn't even try. We didn't even pilot it. We just literally made it illegal. That's so disappointing. You can't tell me that's who we are as a society. I don't believe it, but then I see it and I'm like, maybe I have to believe it.
But I think on the one hand, that's where you and I share a cognitive bias, that we both want to see responsive policy. We want to see engaging policy. We want to see experimental and playful policy that kind of learns as it goes on. But I think the consequence, right? If we were to pretend, okay, that's our bias, maybe not everyone thinks like us, we can look at the opposite. We can look at what the lack of responsiveness, the lack of playfulness, the lack of experimentation got us, which is conspiracy theory, which is people distrusting the government and disbelieving the government because there wasn't an openness of, hey, we can figure it out as we went along. And maybe we can learn from that in hindsight at the very least, but I think it's an argument for more transparent policy development. It's an argument for more transparent policy experimentation and playfulness. Because then it gives people a greater sense that we're all just figuring this out as we go along. There is no magic wand. There is no, authoritarian deciding what's good or what's bad.
Yeah, look, totally. Government has a monopoly on implementation, on prioritization, and funding. But they don't have a monopoly on idea generation. And we've never done a good job in the almost 12 months now of asking Canadians what they want and what they need. We don't have a crowdsource. Again, someone could have built it. I've lamented this in the past. I'm sure I could have built some kind of website and be like, hey guys, crowdsource your ideas. But the point is, for it to be government-led is so powerful to say, what could we do that would improve things for you? What are your top anxieties? We actually, back to what we shut down fitness instructors, convening with people in a park to like do some stretching and like high knees at a time where people are socially isolated, maybe not getting out. The mental health and the physical health benefits of doing that are so immense. And we actually said, whoa, we better stop that. Like it might be a bit dangerous. Instead of equipping people with the right information and saying, actually, we love this. We're going to have, these are the parks that are designated for like yoga and this. And we're, hiving out half of these public spaces so that people can get free physical activity in a safe group setting. How fun is that? We couldn't do it. Mm-hmm. Now I'm just depressing myself. Sorry, I'm complaining a lot.
No, but I think it's valuable to learn from past experiences. Now, before we close off the ghost kitchens, I just want to share a comment from Merlatron.
Yeah.
The Mr. Beast burger chain seems almost like the GameStop stonks ordeal in the way that an internet community has dramatically impacted an industry in an unprecedented way. And I think that's fair. I think, where perhaps Vass and I are coming at this from the ghost kitchens perspective, we may be less versed in terms of the influencer impact of all of this. So I think that's an excellent topic to return to the future, which is the way in which influencer marketing is having a huge impact on consumer behavior, which kind of evokes our competition law conversation around collusion and whether influencers are in a position to engage in collusion in the, the way we have to redefine the notion. I think that would actually make for a fascinating conversation at some point in the future, because it is an undue amount of market power that Mr. Beast could literally create the largest burger chain in the country, in the United States, in a matter of months. I mean, that does evoke the GameStop stonks ordeal and the internet swarm power that I think is part of it.